This is Common Sense Radio on Lanterns Media Network, powered by freedom-loving, self-reliant Americans. I'm Susan Swift. I'm a proud native Texan, married mother of 7. I've been an actress, a lawyer, and I love God, family, and country. And yes, I'm the C word. I'm a conservative, fighting the good fight on the left coast.
And I'm AJ Davis, born and raised on the East Coast, now infiltrating the left coast. I'm a millennial, a husband, father of 3, and a military veteran. I'm fat, I'm bald, and yeah, I'm not politically correct. Welcome to Common Sense Radio on Lanterns Media Network. And welcome to the program, folks. You're listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network. Susan's on vacation. We are lucky enough to have the one, the only, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well out here from Indiana, Midwest. Proud to be part of your show, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, how's your weekend going, Watson?
My weekend's just been awesome. We had a little snow. We're in the middle of our newest season called Sprinter. Still doesn't go anyway. We're thinking we'll get spring, and it seemed like some people said out here in the Midwest that Mother Nature is bipolar. Don't want to make up her mind what she wants to do. So I'm just enjoying myself.
All right, since you're the guest on the program, do you want to start here in the home country, or do you want to start overseas?
Let's go abroad, because you know what? Last but not least, save the best for last, and America's the best. Manga. Let's go there.
Well, our one, our only Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, sends out a tweet this weekend, and knives are not safe any longer in London. No excuses. There is never a reason to carry a knife. Anyone who does will be caught, and they will feel the full force of the law.
I'm sorry. I thought you wanted I thought that you wanted the soundtrack in the background about knives.
So my question is, Watson, what's next? Forks or knives?
I'm thinking, you know what? They're going to have to ban vehicles. I mean, seriously, think about this. They took away the guns already because you know what? All the liberals are basically happy that gun control works. And so gun control works in the UK, so they took away the guns. Now they're going to take away knives. The only thing next is cars, vehicles, because those are the other things that have actually been killing people once you took away the guns and the guns, right? It
is. And our next, after this story, we do have we're going to jump on over to Germany because we have an attack by a certain automobile that we are calling for a ban tonight on Common Sense Radio for this vehicle, and we're calling for a ban of knives. Maybe even sporks. I mean, how are our London comrades supposed to cut their butter with knives? I mean, knives are banned. I mean, are they going to use sporks, or are they going to use forks or spoons? I mean, we're lost.
There's a danger with the spork, though. I mean, there's so many. I don't know if you heard, but there are assault sporks. I mean, how do you think that people get shanked in prisons?
Since 2016, the Mayor Khan has been taking action to tackle the scourge of violent crime in London, together with the Met Police. With the tragic rise in knife killings on our streets this year, he's introduced tough, intermediate measures to address the violence. The mayor is determined to ensure criminals are caught and punished, but he's also investing millions in tackling the complex root causes of violent crimes to help prevent future deaths. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, I know I'm in Oregon and the wacky tobacco is legal here, but I'm telling you what, I could be smoking all night and I would think this is a parody account. I'm reading this. Honestly, I read this article and it's a london.gov.uk. It's a City Hall blog about what mayor is doing to tackle violent crime. I absolutely read this like I thought it was the Onion or the Babylon Bee. I mean, it just details this absolutely ridiculous boosting police power, preventing future violence. You can't prevent future violence. Well, I guess in his mind, you can by banning knives. I mean, look at his tweet. It's absolutely... It's asinine. I mean, down in his action plans underway, in June, the mayor published a knife crime Oh my gosh. I forgot completely about that. How important is that? A package of tough and comprehensive measures to tackle knife crime, taking in views from the bereaved families and victims. It was the first by a London mayor.
You know what? And the thing about it is, like you said earlier, what's going to be next? How many different memorials will we have on the victims of these atrocities before we have common sense, like the name of your program, AJ, that basically says it's not the weapon, but the heart of the assailant that is what needs to be addressed the most.
Mental health. It's just like here in the U.S. The first person they blame is the weapon. The law-abiding citizen. I mean, now...
Wait, hold on a second. Did that happen with the YouTube shooter?
Oh, that didn't fit the narrative. Sorry. Nope.
You sure she wasn't using an AR-15?
Yeah.
Was it an AR pistol?
It was an assault weapon.
It was an assault weapon. It wasn't an AR. So it was an AW-15.
That's right. An assault weapon 15.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. Okay.
Isn't it incredible? I mean, if something like if it fit the narrative of the mainstream media, you would hear anything and everything about this. But this is so ridiculous that you can't. This is the stuff that it should be all over the news, and you're just going, gosh, hopefully what's in their water is not in our water. I mean,
yeah.
Knives? Are you kidding me? Growing up, I had people going all over the cities I lived in, the towns I lived in, with big old hunting knives and strapped to their belts. And I mean, it didn't affect me one bit. I mean, but they're scared to death. I mean, in his action plan, he's hosted Educational Knife Crime Summit in 2006, bringing together educators, the Met, and families to work on anti-knife crime education in schools.
Wow.
I bet you the mayor's private security has guns, or do they have knives or machetes?
They have neither. They have peace pamphlets that they hand out to threatening individuals when they want to come in a threatening position of posture, that they basically ensure the safety of all Londoners, because the fact that there's no concern about guns, like no person should have a gun. Now they're saying no person should have a knife. I'm thinking they're creating the utopia that we've been looking for since the dawn of civilization. I'm telling you, man, I'm thinking London's where I'm going to go to next, because I'm just feeling completely safe in that place. I can't see my life being any other way except complete in the arms of such a wonderful and well-to-do society, yeah. and the mayor who's so loving and comforting to the people.
Well, I know you would like that. You are all about European socialism. I know that.
See Kyle.
On the cover, you know where you're on Twitter. On the top of his Twitter, his cover picture is hashtag London is open, except for guns and knives. That's it. That's the only thing it was not open for.
Well, see, you know what? See now, okay, I'm a trans species, and I'm letting you know that I identify as a bayonet that is a gun and a knife at the same time. And I'm going to London to complain about the discrimination. I think all of us bayonetters need to rally, go to London, and basically say, we will be invited to this environment.
Right on, brother. Right on. Well, I know you feel safe in London, but maybe you can... I don't know exact distance between London and Germany, but you guessed it. We are going to ban minivans. Multiple casualties and injuries after a van slammed into a large group of people in Munster, Germany, in an incident that German police described as deliberate, which at least a couple of people dead and dozens injured. Approximately 20 injured and 2 people dead. But the driver, you won't believe what he did to himself. Just take a guess, Watson.
He got out of the car and turned himself in?
You're very optimistic.
Wouldn't that be the normal?
The driver shot himself to death.
What?
Yeah, that's what I read. It. I go, what? You plow your van into people, you kill 2, you injure approximately 20, and then you shoot yourself to death.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very troubling. And
well, see, but the thing about it though is, I thought that Germany was another country where owning a firearm was prohibited. Though, don't they have strict gun laws out there as well too?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure because I'm not up to date on my European policies, lad.
Well, you know what? Frau Merkel really needs to get this situation fixed here because, man, I really wish I had my German accent really working the right way to talk about the consistent processes of crime happening in Germany. We cannot deal with these situations. What is the description in the ethnic makeup of the individual responsible for the vehicle manslaughter? Do you know what it was? I don't know if that was German or a demented Irish.
Yeah, mine was more Irish, but I know, Watson, you will respect this because German Chancellor Angela Merkel said, and I quote, "Our thoughts are with the victims and their families." End quote. Yep.
That's it.
That's what she's quoted as saying.
End
quote.
It must have been like 4
terrible news.
No, there's more, right? I mean, please tell me. I mean, even Donald Trump's tweets have more than that. Come on, even our bumbling president can actually do better than that. Come on.
No, the German president, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, said his thoughts are with the victims and relatives of the crash in Munster. My deep sympathy goes to all those who have lost a loved one. I mean, I thought thoughts and prayers just don't mean anything, but over in Europe they matter now. I'm confused. I mean, where do we start? Where do we go with all this?
Well, I mean, think about so I guess maybe I missed this too. Did you describe the ethnic makeup of the person driving the vehicle?
I have scoured the World Wide Web, and they have not identified. This incident is being treated as terrorism. Well, no shit. I mean, the thing at Parkland... Oh, excuse my language.
No slips. There are no slips that are around. I mean, no one would slip in that environment. I agree with you. No slip.
Yeah.
And no ships are allowed on land. No ships are allowed on land.
Tyrion said that the driver was a German citizen and stressed the investigation is at an early stage. Oh, and I missed it. It was yesterday at about 8:19 p.m. is when this incident happened. 8 p.m. our time, so it was later in the day. Oh, no, because Ireland's 8 hours ahead, so it would have had to have happened on the 6th.
Well, no, Germany's 6 hours ahead.
Okay. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 7 p.m. local time.
Wow.
I was close. I said 6.
Well, still, it's just insane about how this is transpiring. And AJ, I mean, I thought that Europe was the bastion of utopia, of peace and love and everything that's sweet and nice, like the things that make up the Powerpuff Girls. I thought everything was great there in Europe. I thought Europe was the place to be. Isn't that what most people want to model this country to be like after the UK and Germany and their success stories?
I believe so. And the Daily Wire reported that the gentleman the German national, has a history of psychological problems, and the latest vehicle attack comes exactly 1 year after 4 people were killed when a truck plowed into a crowd inside a Swedish shopping center. So, I mean, we need to ban vehicles. I mean, we need self-driving vehicles, or we need to ban them completely.
So
I'm calling for it.
Volkswagen or is it a BMW? I mean, it's a huge difference, man. I mean, or it could, what's the other one? Audi. I mean, because if it was an Audi, those different cars. I mean, I don't know. It could be the vehicle more than it is the manufacturer. I think we should blame BMW, Volkswagen, and let's blame Frau Merkel for this. She caused this tragedy because she's German.
Ooh, good.
Like the weapons, because an AR-15 goes and kills all those children in all these massacres. It's the AR-15, man.
Yeah, sometimes I have a problem with my 38. Like last weekend, like I was telling Susan last week, it jumped off my shelf out of my gun case, and it started walking in the middle of the night up to the door. Had the front door open, but luckily I got there in time, locked the door, and locked it back up. I mean, it happens to the best of us.
Dude, that was close.
Whew. It was close.
That was close, man. I mean, that really could have been a massacre of all massacres. I mean, yeah. The 38 special, was it on Saturday night when it was going to happen?
It was Saturday night, and the town was pumping loud.
Wow. I mean, talking about, just oh, wow. That just sends chills up my spine to know that so many people could have died because your gun decided to take itself on just a tour. It wanted to paint the town red, and you stopped it.
I'm a hero, yeah.
I applaud you. You're a hero, man.
Well, speaking of heroes, have you heard of Alfie Evans from the UK? Well, you remember the Charlie Gard story?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's our next segment because we're about to take a break. But he's the next Charlie Gard that we're going to talk about on the other side of the break.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Yeah, it's a good one. I've been communicating back and forth with Jonathan Dunn about it. It's insane. So you're listening to Common Sense Radio and the Lanterns Radio Network.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
In every rising of the sun, my purpose was to be thankful to be alive. I was even more thankful for the blessings that came with this life, specifically Virdis, my wife. But that came to an end when Aklavane and her minions violently took her away from me. So my new purpose in this life is to gather all the pieces of the Stone's Heart so I can defeat Aklavane and get back my bride. Join me as I travel to new worlds, making new friends and avoiding old enemies. Read more about my story in the first 2 books of the Stone's Heart series, which are now available on Amazon.com in Kindle format. The first book is The Quest for Savitvarda, and that is followed by The Heart of Pagaila. Stone's Heart is more than a fantasy and a sci-fi quest. It's me fighting to get back my precious wife, despite the overwhelming odds against me. Stone's Heart. Join, explore, and believe.
It'd be crazy.
And welcome back to the program, folks. You are listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network, powered by Lanterns.buzz. Hey, Watson, can you tell everybody where they could find you on social media? Because you are a very active one on the interwebs, and I truly enjoy your memes, your information that you put out.
Well, I appreciate that, AJ. You know what? I have a lot of opportunities to share my memes. I post them on my website at www.battle4freedom.com. And you can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/ _ Battle for Freedom or / Watson Prunier. Your choice of going there. And Facebook.com / Battle for Freedom.
And you can find me at Oregon Redskin. That's kind of... I'm not politically correct, as you know. So, Alfie Evans is the kid that we teased on the other side of the break, on the first segment. And Alfie Evans was born in May 2016. He was born healthy, and he started missing numerous developmental milestones in his first 7 months. So, that raised awareness to the mom and dad. So Alfie catches a chest infection in December of 2016, causing seizures, and he's taken to the Alder Hey Children's Hospital in Liverpool, where he is put on life support. He has been there ever since, to this day. Father Tom, in July of 2017, says he is, Tom Evans, his dad, seeking U.S. treatment for his son and hopes Charlie Gard supporters will help after he claimed doctors want to turn off Alfie's life support. So another one of those heartbreaking stories of where the national health system in Europe want to just, we don't want to pay another dime. Forget that. Put it in a box. I mean, how riveting is that to your heart?
Well, it's heartbreaking because this is the model that people have been screaming that we need to follow. And I'm sitting here thinking, why would we want to follow a model that has such a low disregard for life? And we want to bring that here? I mean, are the loonies running the program here? What's going on here, AJ? Because I don't want these people in charge when I'm old and I'm unable to take care of myself, or my kids are unable to take care of me, because if I'm in their hands, I'm going to be pretty much pooping bricks every day. I'm concerned about when they're going to take me out.
I am too. Then, and I'm talking about the Daily Mail article, and there's a timeline that I'm reading off of that started with the birth of Alfie, and it just I read it and it almost put me in tears. It really did. Out in December 17th of 2017, Alfie's parents say they will begin mediation with the hospital in a bid to find a way forward without legal action. And then a couple days later, Mr. Evans claims that the toddler is letting him know he wants to live. Well, dang right the baby wants to live. And nothing's been shown that he's been showing improvement over this time. Then, as of February 1st, the case goes to the High Court in Liverpool, where the hospital reveals the parents smuggled a German doctor into a hospital in a bid to stop the life support from being switched off. I commend them. I would do the same thing. I know you would. I know Susan would. I know anyone with any kind of human decency would.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. You just said two words. It's very few and far in between those quote-unquote social justice warriors. That's human decency. I mean, human decency doesn't burn down cities. Human decency doesn't destroy public property. Human decency does not slaughter the innocent, those in the womb who cannot defend themselves. Human decency doesn't let those who cannot take care of themselves, who need immediate medical attention, let them sit there and die senselessly. That is what our society needs. I mean, is that not the inference in civilization, civility, and human decency? The key fundamental figure or term or definition or icon is missing. It's no longer represented in the greater societies of this world, and that is a tragedy.
It's absolutely. I mean, I could read you day by day, but just a small gist of it is the consultant tells the High Court that the child is unresponsive and not conscious of his surroundings and cannot be cured. That's the key word, not doctor, consultant. And I wonder who paid for that consultant. I would guess the hospital, the NHS system. I mean, you can name it. Anyway, you fast forward to March 1st, Oh, no, let's back up about 10 days. February 20th, Mr. Justice Hayden rules that doctors can stop providing treatment to Alfie. 2 days later, Alfie's father, Tom, said he would appeal against the decision, saying doctors should take a step back. So he gets this granted, and we go up to March 1st. 3 appeal judges began analyzing issues at a hearing in London. It takes them about 10 days. The Court of Appeals hearing decides doctors can put an end to Alfie's treatment.
That's heartbreaking, man.
It absolutely is.
Where's the humanity on the courts? Where's the humanity, man?
There isn't any humanity. There's no human decency. And then the Children's Hospital put this, as of, I got word from a friend overseas that this past Friday, they could have pulled the plug on it, but I think the family is fighting it. All the pro-life organizations are fighting it tooth and nail. The hospital put a statement out about 3 days ago, because today's Monday, put it out on the 6th. We understand that this is an incredibly difficult time for Alfie's family, and we continue to support them in every way we can, unless it's medically. Didn't that just make you go...
You support them in every way,
yes,
but you are going to let their child die. I don't hear anywhere in their language of saying that they want their child to die.
But just listen to this. Understandably, there is a lot of interest in this case, but despite reports, at no point has a date for withdrawal of treatment for Alfie been agreed with his family. We continue to support them in every way we can, is the first sentence, and then there's no date of withdrawal of treatment for Alfie agreed with his, and that's just the first paragraph, Watson. After a long and difficult legal process, the courts have ruled that Alfie's condition is irreversible and untreatable, and that continued active treatment is not in his best interest. We always aim to reach agreement with the parents about the most appropriate care plan for their child, but sadly in this case, we have not been able to do this. Well, dang right! You know what I mean? Jeez. Yeah. Consequently, we must return to the High Court, as we are legally required to do, for guidance about a date on which to withdraw treatment from Alfie. We would again ask that the privacy of Alfie's family be respected at this time. We understand that this case is highly emotional. It says emotive. I don't know what that... I mean, I'm not the smartest guy. And many people have an interest in Alfie's situation. We are receiving an unprecedented amount of queries, concerns, comments, and questions on social media, via phone, email, and in person. We need to make it clear that Alder Hay will not make any comment about Alfie or his treatment to any members of the public. We ask that our staff are treated with respect. My mind is blown.
Well, see, and here's the thing about it that just really kills me is because, okay, so if you're controlling the public, if you dictate what the public is supposed to do, but you don't communicate to the public what you're doing, how can you say that the public is in your best interest? You're in the best interest of the public. How can you function like that? And see, and this is the thing that kills me, is that this is what many people who want universal health care in this country want. And it's really sad. We don't teach our kids cursive. We don't teach our kids rights. So because they don't understand the rights that are being taken from them, they have nothing to fight about, because they're going to get quote-unquote free school, free college, free food, free everything, not realizing, guess what? You know what? Here in Indiana, AJ, the Indians received a lot of free things from the government. And among those things were basically coat, clothing, foods that were basically wrapped, and basically that you had diseases. They were using germ warfare against the Indians in the guise of giving them something for free, and it came with their death. Hundreds of thousands of Indians died in Indiana because of the fact that they were given tainted and poisoned and disease-infested gifts. And
unbelievable.
And now, what you just read to me, AJ, was the 21st century more enlightened and civilized way of killing off a society.
It is.
You use a legal system that bars people from communicating or understanding the process of taking place. And you come off as this is a more decent way of terminating the life of this individual, whether they're in the womb, whether they're a couple years old, or whether they're a senior. What is going on, AJ? What is going on, man? This is disgusting.
It is. And where does it stop? I mean, we're talking 22-month-old Alfie right now. How about not Grandma Lorette down at the old folks' home that's 81 years old with a bum hip and needing surgery? I mean, where does it stop? Where does it stop? I got on let me see, it is the gov.uk. It is the Department of Health and Social Care. And me being the little pack rat, the bookworm, whatever you want to call it, I get digging on stuff like I like to do with the local stuff. And one of the things that really bothered me, I started reading. Nearly 7 in 10 service users were extremely or very satisfied with their care and support over the last 3 years. 81% of adult social care providers are rated as good or outstanding. Spending will rise by 9% this year. The number of care home agencies is up 55% since 2010, and we recently set out a new package of measures to protect care home residents from unfair practices. But today, I want to be honest about how well we are meeting that litmus test. In truth, not well enough. So they're okay with spending 9% this year for old folks' homes, but they won't save Alfie.
Yeah. You know, it's really sad because as they sit here talking about all these great things that they're going to do and how, AJ, what they're going to be spending on old folks' homes would be a fraction of what they would need. I mean, no. What they would spend on saving Alfie will be a fraction of what they're spending on old folks' home. You see the whole sleight of hand thing there? We're doing these things for the old folks' home. Don't focus on what we're doing here. And remember this too, AJ. Like you said, where do they start or where do they stop? You're killing Alfie at 22 months, but those people who are in the old folk homes, they're next. The euthanasia is next. Euthanasia in the womb, euthanasia outside the womb, and euthanasia in these senior facilities that most often the people are forgotten and no one comes to visit them. And by the time that they do find out that their relative is dead, years have passed by because they never ventured to take a look and see what's going on. Something is wrong here. And I think this is a tragedy that we're hearing about, AJ, but the bigger tragedy that I think is lost in this whole process is the hubris of the human heart, of the liberal mentality that believes that society would never sink to the lows of barbarism against the innocent and the defenseless. And I'm sitting here thinking, look at our history. Look at our history. Look at the history in all over the world. There is no civilization that exists that is free from the stain of depravity. And yet we continue to act as somehow, some way, we have grown beyond such animalistic behavior. But the very acts of what they're doing is animalistic to its core, to abandon children who need our assistance, our help, and our prayers the most. We are truly a people that should be ashamed in every corner of this world.
It is. It's absolutely disgusting. And I think back to the Charlie Gard story and how the Pope was offering to send Vatican doctors, spend all the Vatican money to help poor Charlie. And the Pope, from what I've been seeing on social media, I've been seeing all over the interwebs, is the Pope is reaching out as well with Alfie. I mean, that's consistency when you talk about life right there.
Yes, exactly.
But the thing that just beats me up, and there's a hashtag Alfie's Army that is kind of trending around, is some people, Michael Duffy, at Duff_man26. Just, I want to go over there and I kind of want to rip his head off, to be honest with you.
Really, what's going on with him?
He tweets out, the world's best doctors with years of medical expertise have said that it's in the child's best interest to end treatment. But Karen, who works part-time at the hairdresser, knows better because she's got 6 kids and she's seen a video on Facebook. Hashtag Alfie Evans. Hashtag Alfie's Armies. Twitter is so toxic. Sometimes I enjoy getting on it to see funny memes, interact with people like you, different people at Lanterns. I mean, but when I come and see stuff like that, it drives me, it makes me sick. It absolutely makes me sick.
You know what? I ran into a situation today where I heard someone do a presentation, and I'm trying to be as generic as possible about this, but I heard something that was shared today that was very disturbing. I wasn't the only person who was aware of what I heard today. Even my wife heard this speech that was shared today, and it was as politically correct as you possibly can. It was as ambivalent as you possibly can be, and this was in the settings of a church where there was a decision not to stand on the principles that's found in truth and grace, but taking a different route, a different avenue here. And it was really sad to see how badly this behavior can not only come from the pulpit, but encourage other people to do the same exact thing. And I believe that it's this cancer, AJ, that is woven its way into the very fabrics and the underworkings of society. And I don't even think that many people can recognize how badly they're doing this thing, how they are really hurting. And this is what I wrote. Biblical ambivalence leads to biblical apathy, which leads to biblical apostasy. You would think, at what point in time did the people's lives in the UK, in these countries, devolve to the moment that they realize my ambivalence, my apathy toward doing what's right and wrong will not result in some horrific and egregious behavior? No. The Bible uses the phrase that their conscience was seared. And that's the only way that I can define the mentality that would let Alfie or even Charlie Gard die. A seared conscience, a conscience that has their morality has been burned away from their soul, and they have no other way to react and respond.
That's powerful.
It's scary. Someone said to me, I'm trying to figure out who said it, and I heard it on one of the programs. I think it was on Lantern, but someone said this, or it might have actually been the Conservative Cartel, but they were saying that someone had looked into the eyes of a millennial, or they said, it's scary to look into the eyes of many millennials out there right now, because when you stare into their eyes, you don't see anything back.
Wow.
It's almost like a soulless window, which makes sense as to why you can see the behavior, the animalistic disregard for life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. You know, it's void. Like, looking into the eyes and soul of a millennial is frightening, because there is no glimmer of light or hope or anything that we see in there. And they're learning from the very people who send Charlie Gard and Alfie to the grave.
Yeah.
These are the people these are their instructors, AJ. We face an evil and a wickedness that will outnumber us hundreds to one. And this is just on the horizon. I'm thinking that we should see this more frequent. What you're talking about right now will be more frequent within the next couple of years.
I hope you're wrong, but I think you're absolutely spot on.
Wasn't Charlie Gard last year? Last year. So here we are, dude, a year later. Here we are, a year later. So what happens next year? Is it 2 kids? 3 kids? 4 kids.
Well, look about 3 or 4 years ago, the Pelletier kid up in Massachusetts. Remember that story? Where the state had seized and her health just started deteriorating.
Yes. I got you. Yes, I got you. Yes, I got you. Oh my goodness. Yes, that was another one. Yeah, see, and that's here in this country, AJ. That's here in this country.
I know.
That attitude, AJ, exists in all the wrong areas. You know, it exists in the hospitals. It exists in the academy. It exists in the halls of the academic institutions that's basically teaching our kids to have this lack of respect for life. And how can we not be surprised when we see this behavior from kids who are devoid of emotion, of regret, and we foster this. And the behavior is even in our TV programs, man. We're programming people to be this evil and wicked.
Yeah. And like you said, to the public halls of education we go next. Yep.
Sorry.
I know. I'm glad you brought that little transition right there. And I told you, did you want to start overseas or did you want to start here? And you chose overseas, so you started with the bad stuff first. This is the good stuff.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. So we're going to end the show. We're going to end the show. We've got about 12 minutes left of the show, 12, 13 minutes. And this is perfect. A grassroots movement of frustrated public school parents who want to end the sexualization of their children during class time has turned their frustration to action with a, quote, sex ed sit-out protest on April 23rd, end quote. Yes, the protest launched by a few moms on social media who were troubled by the graphic nature of current sex education resources in schools have grown into a global movement, with protests being held in multiple U.S. cities and also Australia and the U.K. And LifeSite News has that's a site that Susan and I have just fallen. Susan put me onto. It's a wonderful site that's dedicated to life and biblical morals.
Stop! Don't say that word, dude. Really?
I'm sorry. Did I scare you?
Don't say terms like that, biblical. I mean, I know I said it should be able to because I'm a minority, but you're white and you don't have the freedom to use those sensitive terms that are only afforded to minorities.
Oh, that's right. You are Caucasianly challenged.
I'm Caucasianly challenged, and I have the right to appropriate terms that are not afforded to you. You have used those terms for far too long, and I'm telling you, I'm here to put an end to this. This is utter insanity. How dare you say stuff like that, biblical?
Well, and I can't tell you what minority these parents are, but these parents are demanding to know why their children are being taught how to have anal and oral sex.
Wow, and how old are they?
They are not, and we'll go down, school districts such as Rockland, California, Fairfax County, Virginia. I used to work for Fairfax County Public Schools. Have recently been the focus of news headlines because of controversial gender-bending and graphic sex education anti-bullying programs, which parents say they were not informed would be taught to their children, sometimes as young as 5 years old.
Wow.
So why are tax dollars going to pay for curriculums and resources that teach this kind of provocative, promiscuous behaviors to children as young as 5 years old? Wow. It boggles my mind.
Yes, man. This is insane, AJ, because as they continue to do this stuff, and then they wonder why our kids are so sexually charged. Mm-hmm. And they wonder why our kids are saying and doing things that are completely just mind-blowing. And here's the worst part about it. That behavior, AJ, is even finding themselves within the halls of academic institutions with biblical, I'm saying that word again, with a biblical foundation. That behavior is seeping itself into, I'm watching one institution right now, AJ, fall from glory as it embraces liberal progressive ideologies that's ruining the minds of innocent children. And it's breaking my heart.
It's horrible. So the hashtag they're using is sex ed sit out, and what they're going to do is the parents are sick of this sexualization of children.
Yes.
They are pulling their kids out of public school for the day as a protest. And if you go to sexedsitout.com, it's a website that you can contact. They put their phone numbers up. They put email, register. You can find events near you. I mean, how awesome is that? I mean, I'm going to type in where I'm at right now, and there's got to be some events near me. I mean, I am in Oregon. Oh, no entries match your request. Oops.
What?
In Oregon.
Wow. Well, see, but then it doesn't Oregon sometimes suffer the unfortunate circumstance of being another republic?
Yeah, I like to call us Northern California. You got some. Bloomington, Indiana is having one.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That's where Indiana University is.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
So I mean, I guess that's good for you. But I mean, you can go on here. They have letters to your principal. Add your city. I mean, it's a good. I commend these parents that are doing this. I mean, it's fantastic. You know this, and the letter reads as this: "Dear Principal so and so, this letter is to inform you that my child blah 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 will be participating in the Global Sex Ed Sit Out on April 3rd and will not be attending school." And just the gist of it, it goes from Australia to Canada and America to stand against the sexualization of our children.
Wait. Hold on a second here. So you're saying that this whole sit out is actually to fight against the organism that's indoctrinating our children with this early sex education? Maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I'm really slow. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
The purpose of this sit out is to bring awareness to this horrible indoctrination to our children, and this sit out is basically parents saying we refuse and denounce this behavior. Is that what you're saying?
Let me just read a little bit more of this letter because you will like it. To stand against the sexualization of our children, pornographic sex education, anti-bullying curriculum is being implemented across our globe in an attempt to indoctrinate our children with sexual rights. This is unacceptable, and we are joining others both nationally and globally in taking a stand to say enough. I mean, how beautiful is that?
Well, see, okay, the reason why I just asked the question again is because, okay, so now you tell me the premise of this whole thing here, because I get sometimes confused between protests and sit-outs, and not all of them I feel are actually moving in the right direction of pursuing common sense here. And so you're telling me this, but you have to understand, AJ, Bloomington is probably one of the most liberal cities in the state of Indiana.
So it'd be conservative in Oregon?
Huh?
So it'd be conservative in Oregon?
Yes. Yes. So the fact that you're telling me that a family-based system or family-oriented system is functioning like this in Bloomington, Indiana, blows my mind, because I know that that's one of the liberal bastions in Indiana. So this is actually really surprising.
Yeah, and I'm not shocked that there's none of them set up in Oregon, but I should try and set one up.
I think so. I think that would be great. I think that would be awesome. And like I said, and if you have this, scheduled in your after hours after work, I mean, why would anyone have a problem with you? Although we do live in a day and time that even some schools have literature that if you actually mess around with a gun during your off hours away from school, you can be suspended. So
that blows my mind.
Before you do that, make certain that there is nothing in the literature of get a PDF copy, if not a printed copy, of your work procedures, to make certain that organizing something like this that's so morally right and uplifting is not in any way going to affect your job.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, but if you just have other grassroots families that are promoting this, it's a good thing, you know, and I'm willing to put anything on the line for something like that.
Yeah, and you see, and I think that is, you said something right there, though, AJ, is we're getting to the point, AJ, where we have to decide: will we stand up for righteousness? Will we stand up for the right thing? Or will we quietly sit aside and allow evil to continue? What is that phrase by Edmund Burke? It is worse for good men do nothing.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that stuff like that, and Thomas Jefferson said, question with boldness even the very existence of God. I mean, that's how I get myself in trouble. I have to be more humble about how I deal with it, and that's kind of where I'm going to. But I question everything with boldness, because how can you sleep at night if you don't? I mean, I can't. I don't want to have any regrets. I mean, I have regrets, but I try to live every day by not having regrets from the day before.
Yeah. Well, and that's a mentality, though. But you have to understand, AJ, that the mentality you're talking about, that's not often taught in the school. And if there is an issue of not having any regrets, it's because of the fact that the people, the teachers that are in the academic institution are indoctrinated with a lot of the horrible and horrendous teachings from the Great Enlightenment, which I sometimes call the Great Excrement. And, you know, you have this thing where, you know, Jean-Paul Sartre and, you know, they turn around and tell you you're free to be free. You're free to live without boundaries. And this is what's been seeped into our school. But the only boundary that they do establish in these schools is morality.
You're so true.
Morality is your boundary. Do not go there. That is the only forbidden boundary that's taught in the academic institutions right now. And that is a tragedy. Wow.
You know, I was lucky growing up, and we've got about 2 minutes left, but I just want to tell you this short story. I was lucky growing up. I had teachers that always taught us to critically think. They didn't teach us, this is what you need to think of, this is critically think. And this is, I mean, multiple teachers throughout and I grew up in Virginia before Virginia turned purple. You know, we were a red meat state, you know, and it just blows my mind, the things that I see nowadays. I mean, you can see kids that you see them walking down the street where their eyes are glazed over because they're sat in front of a computer screen all day at school, and then they hear a bell or they hear a whistle and they turn real quick.
Yeah,
it's a very sad state of affairs that we live in, and you know, all we can do is pray for them. That's all we can do.
Agreed.
It is. Well, hey Watson, I want to thank you for joining us. You're kind of like our substitute co-host.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm so honored to be on the show. I'm sorry I couldn't be as purdy as Miss Susan, but I'll doll myself up next time if you want me to go on the camera, and we'll make certain that you have the best answers from me coming here from Indiana. Yeah.
Oh man, hey, thanks a bunch, bud. Hey, God bless, and I hope you have a good rest of your week. And you are listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network. Good night, folks.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.